balls. I got the biblical smackdown laid on me by a YouTuber, and it's time to talk about it. This all started yesterday when I made the video, Are React Streamers Bad People? This was a response video to a 14-page document posted by a YouTuber, Dark Viper AU. And today Dark Viper made a response to that video, and it started a war, a bloody battle between good and evil, heaven and hell, reactors versus Dark Viper and his community. And I wanted to wait to talk about it further until I could have a conversation directly with him. But I've been getting just a ton of messages from his community, and a lot of it's really nasty, horrible shit, so I figured it'd just be better to get ahead of it and hopefully have that conversation with him later. So I'd like to go through his response and talk about it piece by piece, but before really getting into it, as I mentioned in the beginning, I took a bit of an L+ ratio here. There's a lot of things that I got wrong. I've never been afraid to admit that. I got like fucking 6 videos over the last 4 years where I just outright say, yep, this is what I got wrong, here's what it was. Almost seems like a humiliation fetish at this point, but of course I get things wrong. Everybody does. And I'm not afraid to admit it or die on a hill that is just outright incorrect. And Dark Viper points out things that I got wrong, for sure. But it wasn't this malicious misrepresentation of his document or his perspective that he hints that it might have been. Why would I even do that? As I mentioned, Dark Viper is a creator that I liked and respected. What the fuck would I gain from misrepresenting him? Someone that I actively like. It'd make no fucking sense.
Moistcritikal knows that his video is going to reach far more people than will ever actually read that document. So he has free reign to misrepresent what's in it to 99.99.
Wait, what was his argument? What did the man say? What?
His video is going to reach far more.
I actively like. It'd make no fucking sense.
Moistcritikal knows that his video is going to reach far more people than will ever actually read that document.
Guys, how do you use that fact though?
So he has free reign to misrepresent what's in it to 99.99999% of people. He didn't even have the courtesy to link the document so people could fact check him.
Again, I wouldn't misrepresent his points on purpose because it's a guy that I liked. And before he made this video, many people...
You're saying it's true, but if you're somebody who's a bigger size or a bigger creator, how do you react or watch or comment on a document in a way that somebody wouldn't use this argument?
Misunderstood his points as well. It wasn't just me. You could go on his own subreddit when this was happening and people were like, yeah, this document was very confusing to me as a fan of Dark Viper. And as someone who liked him, it was confusing to me as well, and I thought I understood your points, but after watching this, I concede I didn't. Now on to the next point where he says I didn't even have the courtesy to link the document directly in the description. This right here is a lose-lose situation. The only way to win is not to play here, because if I did link it, I would get called an asshole for making it easy for people to go dogpile on. Like, oh, look at Charlie being such a fucking douchebag to put the link right to the document, right to his tweet, where people could go fuck him up and be mean to him directly. Because I've had shit like that happen in the past where I would talk about something, not a react video, just a full-blown response video to something, and then there'd be people in the community that would go and just be a complete fucking asshole to that person. Even though I'd actively discourage that behavior, I have no way of controlling it besides just saying don't do that. And by making easier access, like a link in the description directly to it, I felt it could enable people to just go and harass him, which I never want to happen to anyone. Now, of course, I see the other side of the argument that he's saying, like, if I had directly linked it, people could have fact-checked me on the video without having to go out of their way for it, which, of course, is a good point, but I didn't know what the best way of navigating this was, because by directly linking it, there's a good chance there'd be unreasonable assholes that aren't even there to read the document, they're just there to harass him or get mad at him without anything else going on, just unreasonable assholes. So I thought by just showing where the document is, letting people see where they can find the document if they want to fact check it themselves.
Agreed. If you watch the video, right? Guys, hey, according to his main argument that you're yoinking, right? Technically, people want, you know?
Would be the optimal play, but I can see here that this was not his preference, this was not the right way of approaching it, and now I understand.
He is so keen to poison you against this 14-page, meticulously argued document that he goes to the length of finding tweets out of context. He doesn't show the context. And it's just like, here's what the document's about. It's 14 pages!
I never said that's what the whole document was about. I never made a point even similar to that. I mentioned that there's a section where he compares reactors to someone who would likely commit sexual abuse.
Wait, 14? It was 14 pages document against React Andy?
And to say that I'm taking things out of context to poison the well is very disingenuous because I didn't take them out of context. I'll show you the whole context right here. One of his fans pointed out their disappointment that he would compare React streamers to someone that would commit sexual abuse, and he argued with this person by saying that their behavior is similar to someone that would sexually abuse someone, and he literally uses that word even though he says in his video he never said that.
Let's play a game. Let's see how many of these words are actually in this document. Sexual, no. How about abuse? Oh, we got report abuse up the top here. How about criminal? No. How about predator? No, not that either. How about rapist? No. It's almost like Charlie is making shit up and I don't understand why.
So while none of those words are explicitly used in the document, he does allude to them.
Wait, you don't even need context here, dude. It's black on the white at the bottom. It's black on white. You don't need context for this. Guys, a lot of things in life don't need context. If you comment on somebody's comment directly for what the idea presents, you don't need context. What?
In that section, and when pointed out by a fan that it's kind of fucked up to compare React streaming to something that extreme, he then does outright say that people that live this certain way are the very sort of people that may sexually abuse someone. And just to give full context so no one thinks I'm hiding anything, he does continue to argue with another fan who was also disappointed in the statement, and he defends this by saying it's a hyperbole, it's supposed to be an exaggerated scenario, he's not trying to make them like equal or anything. So at the very best, it's an extremely shitty analogy, and at worst, it's a genuinely disgusting thing to say about someone you just don't like. So I really think it's pretty clear when you read this Twitter argument, as well as the hints that he drops in that section of his document, that myself and members of his community would easily see this as him trying to compare reactors to sexual abusers, because that's how it comes across.
And what was really annoying is Moistcritikal left that video up. His entire video that I corrected is wrong. As Moist will now admit, but he left it up anyway. 1.3 million people did Moistcritikal give false information to, and he did not give 2 fucks. Did not take the video down, did not submit a retraction, did not give people actual information, no.
Yeah, but what if his initial video or his initial comment or document was wrong? Why didn't he take it down?
He, in the original case, made a 10-minute video rambling about stuff that is completely untrue.
This was a really weird section of his video for me, and in his own words, poisoning of the well and defaming me, trying to make it look like I'm knowingly feeding people false information that's wrong, when that's not the case. You can easily disprove this part by just watching the video he made, reacting to and correcting my video on how much YouTubers make from short-form content. The information I presented wasn't wrong. The information was incomplete.
This crucial detail is missing from Charlie's video here, where he talks about how much YouTubers make on short-form content.
That crucial detail he's talking about is one that he also admits he didn't know about for the longest time either. He has far more experience here, so then learned that a video that is over 30 seconds and not a hashtag short makes significantly more money than a video that's under 30 seconds and not a hashtag short. Something I and many others didn't know, so it was a great video. But that doesn't mean that all the information that precedes it is incorrect and unusable. Because all of the information I provided was the earnings of the hashtag shorts, and I did mention that my other content that isn't just hashtag shorts wasn't making much money either. And that's because the majority of the content on that huge Charles channel doesn't exceed 30 seconds. So all of it's in that lower bracket, and I didn't know that there was a distinction from 30 seconds below and 30 seconds above. He did. So that's why his video is even titled an add-on, not Charlie got everything wrong. He even made similar points to the ones I made, where you're not going to make a lot of money off hashtag shorts, and the only real way—
Wait, this has nothing to do with the actual reaction, though.
A bit longer. He knew that absence doesn't make everything go inside. It's just he had more information on it. It's all trash. It's an add-on.
Once you've watched the video,
The reason I haven't taken that video down is because it is still useful information for people.
So not only do I really heavily attack that idea that anyone can transform a 6-month work by pausing it every once in a while and going, I think that's funny. Here's an idea for your revolutionary concept. How about you watch the video first? And then once you've watched the video, you say, hey, I actually have nothing of interest to add here. I'm not going to make a video out of it. Or you might say, hey,
What? But that's boring as fuck, though. That's manufactured garbage, though. Dude, what? That's pre-watch garbage. Guys, that's like if I was American Idol and I watched the whole thing. Oh wait, that's what they actually do. Oh, okay.
I have something interesting to add. I'm going to take that individual part in the middle where I have something to add and make my own video about it.
It is a pretty revolutionary idea. You mean like the majority of the content I've ever fucking made? You know that I don't just do React shit. You know that. But you still portray me as that to your audience, as someone that has only ever reacted to full videos on stream, and portray me as someone that only sits there and says, haha, when you know that's just not the case. Now, we can argue on what's transformative and what's not, and that's also going to be an argument that needs to be had with the creator of the video that gets reacted to, because it's their content, you can't—
Guys, I feel really bad about this, okay? Guys, the people who made the game Dying Light, guys, I didn't sign any documents, no contract, guys, I was never sponsored, but they sent a fucking big-ass crate to my house, a huge dude, and I feel bad not opening it, dude. I didn't look inside of it. Guys, I feel like I want to open it now, but I don't know what's inside, dude. Should we open it?
Can't tell them what's not, and that's all. Sits there and says, haha, when you know that's just not the case. Now, we can argue on what's transformative and what's not, and that's also going to be an argument that needs to be had with the creator of the video that gets reacted to, because it's their content, you can't tell them what they should feel about it. However, I do fully concede that, sure, you can absolutely say there's no way of transforming a work that makes it wholly original if you're watching it in its entirety. I totally do understand that perspective, and now that Dark Viper has explained that perspective in this video, I understand it deeper now than I did from just reading the script. Which is why with this newfound understanding—
I'm actually gonna create that. I guess I feel like it's better. I feel like it's better. For live content, you watch regardless. But if you make a video out of it, if it's not great and you don't add a lot to it, then sure, don't re-upload the reaction. But that's what I already do, to be honest. That's what we already do. The react is bad, and if we're only watching it, usually they don't upload it.
of this perspective, I will no longer be watching full YouTube videos on stream. I'd rather take suggestions for YouTube videos to watch, but not watch the whole thing on stream. I'd rather watch it, see if it's something I have anything to add to, and then turn it into perhaps a full video response, which is my normal content. Contrary to what Dark Viper kind of hints at, I'm not just a React streamer. It's a very small part of what I do. I do a lot of different things, and reacting to content on stream is a very small part of it. So from now on, YouTube nights on my Twitch streams, twitch.tv/Moistcritikal, feel free to stop in and put a few extra inches on your penis. From now on, those are going to look like people giving suggestions as they always have, and we'll maybe check them out for a little bit to see if it's anything that I can add value to, and if not, we're done. If there is, then we're still done, because it's going to be a video that I will then watch the rest of on my own. If it is something that I can truly add something to and add more to for the content in order to branch off and talk more about it without showcasing the entire thing. It's worth noting that all of the React videos on my channel, even the React ones that he fucking hates, they don't show just the full video. They are still just the parts where I am reacting to it, making jokes about it, or talking about it deeper, but I still do understand that that's still a large chunk of the video itself, so it is still pretty close to like almost the full runtime in some cases.
Yeah,
Again, going forward, I won't just be rolling dice hoping I can add to whatever video gets recommended on YouTube night. I will be maybe checking them for a little bit, and then if it's something that I can add to, I'll look at the rest on my own and maybe make content out of.
Dude, he's actually. I'm actually surprised he's folding on this.
A response to it as opposed to a real-time reaction, which has always been the majority of my content anyway. I think what really helped me understand this perspective wasn't Dark Viper's video, it was actually xQc's. They made a great video recently just going over the entire React ecosystem, just going over everything from the perspective of someone that had their video reacted to by multiple people, myself included. It's actually the video of the bizarre house walkthrough, the one that I mentioned. Was a very shameful moment for me where it's a video I really liked but didn't react.
Bitch, I'm watching this.
Hard to. I'd already seen it, and I just basically shared it with my community without adding anything to it, and they were upset with that, which I totally do get. And they made a video going over that whole situation and really helped put it in perspective for me to understand things better. Dark Viper more focuses on dunking, which in some cases he has every right to because I got things wrong, but xQc really painted the whole picture that put it all like in a really good perspective for me to get.
See it.
Now there's one thing I'd like to quickly tackle, and it's an important thing that I talked about in my video of Dark Viper's media share history. On streams, he used to sometimes have his community donate money to play clips from other creators' videos without their consent that Dark Viper would react to on stream while playing Grand Theft Auto on the side. He would then take those reaction streams and post them on YouTube, which made money off of it. And to me, that was similar to everything he was criticizing the other React streamers for. However, in the very opening parts of his document, he does lay out the groundwork for his definition of React streaming, what it means to be a reactor, how it all works, and by all of those definitions, the groundwork.
We're exposed, guys. We don't do media share while doing GTA. And on top of that, guys, we're exposed. You guys act like me being exposed is hurtful. Guys, we do React. We do the most insane stale React. Okay, I don't give a shit.
That doesn't apply
because
it's not the full videos that's being shared. It is clips from the videos, still without consent and all of that, but it is still not exactly in the same ballpark. And I realize now that it was a mistake for me to put my own.
I do not care. If the people don't want me to do it, the people that we're reacting, I will happily never watch their videos again. And I will delete every piece of content, every VOD, okay? I'll even give them the ad rev from that particular thing if they want to rip the whole thing. I do not care, dude.
Bias here where I believed that it still fit under the React streaming, but since I'm talking about his 14-page document, I needed to play by his definition of React streamers, which I do understand now was a mistake on my part because that does not fit into the same category that he was criticizing, which was defined and laid out in the opening parts of the document. He says that I didn't include this because I wanted to undercut his points, but it's just simply not the case.
Reactors can therefore only ever be the middlemen in these platforms, taking impressions from all other original content creators and giving a small amount back to other people. Reactors do not somehow manifest additional impressions. There is no free lunch in this industry. The impressions they give out are a portion of what they steal from other people.
So this is where the cracks in what I understood start to show, because when reading the script, the ideas that he...
Okay, so this argument will never hold, okay? The amount that you steal, if you're smart, is usually never even close to the amount that you create.
He's explaining here don't convey super well to me and many others at Reddit. It's not just me, even though he's confused on how I ended up at this interpretation, even though this is how most people from what I saw in the comments and in his own subreddit interpreted what he was saying. It was very hard to discern the real meaning before he came in here and provided the context, but this is where things really fell apart in what I understood. What he's actually saying is the reactors...
Okay, and nobody in chat understands. It's such a simple concept. Guys, if somebody gets 500 views, okay, how many of chat are subscribed to this guy? There's probably about 1 or 2, okay? By the amount that we steal will be 2, right? And the amount that he's gonna generate for the people watching is incredibly larger than 2. And his next video, now that people are subscribed, it'll be like, ramp the fuck up. If you're going to go with analytics, this argument falls flat on its face, man.
occupy a lot of the impressions that are not infinite on the platform. And when those reactors are gone, those impressions will eventually make their way back onto the platform in other places now that the React content is gone. Not necessarily to small channels. I went into this document under the impression that the entire pillar of the argument was that without the React content, these smaller channels would be flourishing. All of those impressions that they're occupying in their absence would go to smaller channels specifically. And good channels specifically. Good by his definition, which we'll get to in a minute, which was different than the definition I had of good. But what he's actually saying is they just get distributed to other channels in general, which is absolutely true. The reason I went in here thinking it was all about small channels is because that's the way he framed it in his initial tweets, at least the way that I and many others understood it. He starts by saying all reactors are bad people, so I mean, that's poisoning the well, as he says, and they've stolen millions of dollars from actual creators and stopped smaller creators from having a career. So to me, going into this document, that says that, okay, so reactors have stopped small creators from having a career, and
guys, I'm not gonna skip it because I would say React Andy. Okay, everybody hates the concept of React Andy. This tackles a problem. Okay, it's an interesting video. I'm finishing the video.
Point he makes is going to be about how without the reactors, those small creators will be doing better, specifically small creators. So this changed the way that I digested the information he was presenting. I guess subconsciously the way I kept putting it back was that the point he is making ultimately isn't the fact that obviously without this content more views are going elsewhere. It's without this content these views are going to small creators, like specifically to them, because I went in here under the impression that this was about the small creators getting fucked by reactors. But I now understand thanks to this video that is not the overall point that he's making. He even says in this
that's a worse argument
video that if every creator, not just React creator, but like if every big YouTuber was gone, all the other creators would be doing better, like the smaller channels. And he's right, because they occupy a lot of the market. You know, creators occupy big chunks of the market. So if those chunks are gone, those impressions could find their way to the smaller creators or just other places in general, which is true. But when I first read this document, I approached it with this mindset that he is trying to say that good content is guaranteed to get those impressions if that React content isn't there anymore to occupy the space, which I totally disagree with. And he also would, I imagine, disagree with. No one is guaranteed those impressions. He says no one's guaranteed those impressions, and then goes on to define his definition of good content, which
isn't this comparable to saying like, oh, if I wasn't live, Soda and who the fuck would get more viewers?
Was different than my definition of good content.
Admittedly, you have to have seen my other content to understand this, but when I say something is good, I mean in algorithmic sense. It appeals to the market, which I would have used clips to substantiate if you had let me make the video. It is very possible to make high-quality content that no one wants to watch, or to present it very poorly in regards to thumbnails and titles. But I consider thumbnails and titles to be a part of the package. Good content is that in which can be picked up by the algorithm.
I didn't wait for his video to be made because his community had already started emailing me and sending me messages about being compared to a sexual abuser. So obviously I went to look at the document itself and respond to it because people kept emailing me about it from your community, telling me some nasty shit. So that's why I didn't wait and talked about it now. But you're right, had I waited, you would have been able to more accurately get across this point than just on some words on a page. His definition of good is drastically different than mine. For me, as I said in my video, good content, I thought high quality production, a lot of work goes into it, very research topic, buttoned up, just a general overall good piece of content from a production, storytelling, whatever.
Or something innovative, or something that people want. For me, good content is, guys, for me, it's simple. Good content for me is something that people want or something that people want to consume in a story.
Standpoint. His definition is all of that plus just being algorithmically viable. Something that appeals to a large audience, something that can get picked up and spread around, good thumbnail, good everything. That is not how I worked under the impression of good content. He also states that there's a multitude of reasons why that high quality production that I consider good content may never go anywhere. He says that in his definition, good content that does all of these things right, that can get picked up by the algorithm, does the thumbnail perfectly, all of that will eventually get exposure. And I am inclined to agree with that. Ludwig in his video also did prove that to a certain extent as well. If you have a deep understanding of what makes content algorithmically viable and make it something that can be picked up, you stand a good chance of naturally getting exposure without someone reacting to the content. That is a point that I do agree with him on. But it is not something that I could pick up from the pages here because the good content wasn't defined for me. So I imposed my own definition of it, which doesn't work here because no content is guaranteed impressions. Even content that is algorithmically viable is good content by his definitions is still not guaranteed impressions either, but it stands a much better chance of naturally getting that exposure. Again, it was just me not knowing what his definition of good content was that he was working under.
Nowhere in this document do I use small creators anywhere. Anywhere! The impressions logically would go to other people. If a person uses React content on Twitch to keep people from going to YouTube, that is the same thing. I'm not talking about YouTube specifically, Twitch specifically.
Why does he always use words like from going, that would be going? Why? There's also the other side of the coin. People that will be going. People that wouldn't have gone. There's also things that people that they were not going to do that, but now they will, and that's usually much larger than people who did not because That's how it works.
TikTok specifically, Instagram specifically, the entire online creator marketplace.
Which is something I didn't pick up on at all. He's right, he didn't discriminate. It wasn't just on YouTube, and it wasn't just about small creators, which is how I interpreted his initial tweet, because he's talking about it stopped thousands of creators from having a career. To me, that says small creators, because, I mean, Dark Viper is not going to lose his career because there's an influx of React content somewhere on the site. So to me, the only people that that's referring to are going to be the small creators that might be affected by not being able to get in on those eyeballs somehow. So I interpreted it incorrectly then, if it's not about small creators, which it clearly isn't. And the entire point isn't just about YouTube, which I thought it was. He's talking about the broader creator sphere, which was lost on me because I went in there with the incorrect perceived notion of what the actual full subject was and the scope of it. I focused too closely on what I...
Guys, I hate that. I feel like this thing's got a lot of hate and a lot of hate mail or whatever. That he's folding a lot of arguments that he was right on just because of the influx, and he just wants to shut down the negativity going towards him. Because I feel that all of the arguments he had were actually good, and now he's folding on him.
I thought his point was based on an extremely hostile opening statement on Twitter, as well as some rants in the comment section with his community. So I went in there incorrectly digesting the information, which, he's right, would have been an issue solved had I waited for the video. But again, why put these names in the script out there? You knew that your community would probably reach out to the people on there and tell them some crazy shit and say some horrible things, which is what got my attention to look at the document in the first place, and it seemed like something I needed to talk about right now because of how many people were bringing it to my attention, which I see was a mistake, and I should have waited for the video because then I would have actually understood past what was on this page. There's still a ton left in his video, but the point is still the same, that I misunderstood from the very get-go, and it changed my perspective of what he was actually saying.
We need a debate night about React. Debate night #1, React Andy. And then just lay
as he
it out
reiterates
there,
multiple times throughout the next parts, the point wasn't that it's going to small creators or that this is only about small creators or that all the impressions stay on YouTube. It's the entire creator atmosphere where without React content specifically, those impressions go to somebody else, which could cause the birth of the next big original content creator, which is a fact that I do agree with. But that's, again, as he mentions, the same with everyone. If every big content creator right now...
I have never lost a debate on stream ever. I am only
disappeared,
a debate
all
winner.
those impressions that are now homeless, out in the cold...
Because when I don't know, I don't do. So therefore, I always win because I only go into winning battles. Fuck yeah, dude.
The rain, you know, shit in their diapers or whatever, they now have to go to somebody else because they're already on that platform. Those impressions will be distributed to somebody, and it will be the other creators that now have all that vacancy to occupy. And he's right. But when I came into this document from that first tweet, and I guess maybe I was also going in there already hostile from the emails I'd received and the comparison to the sexual abuse thing, I went in there with a distorted view, and to me, everything I tried to spin back to him talking about how it's guaranteed to help small content creators making good content.
The only reason why I have a really bad day sometimes, and I speak about things that I don't know, is because misinformation, okay, is sensational, and people love hearing misinformation. So therefore, I'm just buffing the views. I'm just stacking impressions. I say really bad, outlandish takes, boom, stack some viewers, because they come in, then there's some real takes.
Which,
just
as he reiterates multiple times, is not what the goal of the post or the video was. So I did misunderstand it, of course. But what I really don't appreciate, even still, is that comparison, that analogy that he defends so heavily about sexual abuse and React streamers. Even if I wasn't a React streamer,
this is what everyone about this.
Analogy to compare the
I didn't even think
it's still fucked up.
My point was, consent matters, and the idea of asking consent after you've already done the thing is clearly not good. That is not how consent works. And I made flippant offhand examples.
Okay, consent when it comes down to video creation and consent when it comes down to sexual interactions is a complete different ball game. And comparing the two is absolutely outlandish and outright disingenuous.
Like, I didn't even say it explicitly. My exact words were at the very end to highlight the absurdity of that position.
You cannot make these parallels. It's like if you say somebody that goes to the fucking grocery store and picks up an apple. Did you ask the apple if it wanted to be picked up? Yeah, you're like a sexual harasser. You're like a sexual predator. What? How does that make sense? And you say, dude, your analogy doesn't apply this as an analogy. Nope. No. It applies just as much because they're two different topics and they're two different ball games and you're comparing the two disingenuously. So it does apply. Fuck you.
If you meet a reactor at a party, I suggest covering your glass or outright tell them you don't want them to fuck you because they seem keen to take a person's silence for consent.
Again, you did explicitly say it in your Twitter argument. It is still a shit analogy. It's not an okay comparison to make. Imagine an actual victim of sexual abuse reading that and having it trivialized to something like React streaming, like, oh, these two are now comparable. It's fucked up. And you got that response on Twitter as well, and you know that it's a bad position to take, and I wish you would just let it go and just say, yes, I gotta look.
Is there a GoFundMe somewhere? Is there a GoFundMe where we could buy Charlie a fucking, some blinds? Just some blinds to have the fucking sunlight to stop doing this shit? My man's got some sunburn. Dude, look at that. He's about to fucking, dude, he's grilling. You know when you take a piece of bread and you put it in a griller and it gradually grills? My man is tanning gradually based on how the sun is fucking projecting over the day, dude.
Little too heated and said something stupid. While yes, the issue of consenting to having your video reacted to is an important one, it's not okay to somehow use that to put these two on the same playing field almost, where sexual abuse and react streaming can be in the same sentence. It's not okay to do that. Yes, again, I do agree that getting permission to watch something on stream is important, which is why going forward, even when given permission, I will not be watching the entire thing on stream anyway. I'm not changing my stance on that, but absolutely, I took a peanut butter and LE sandwich on a lot of what I thought he was saying, because I got it wrong. I really did, and he was right to defend it as he did in this video.
Wait a second, this is just React content. And the last video I watched was just him repeating stuff he'd seen on Twitter and with a few dick jokes. Why am I watching this? There has to be better content out there than this. If you read some of the comments under my original community post, many people had the same view. You were once upon a time a decent content creator. We've become rich and lazy.
This has nothing to do with his points at all. It's more of just an ad hominem thing, but it is something I do want to talk about because it's super weird to me when people say I was once upon a time a decent content creator, but I'm lazy now. My content pre-2016, I would sit down for 10 minutes, play a game, and just make a checklist mentally, and I've talked about this, where I'd say cock at least 3 times, cum, titties, and nipples. That was every piece of content I made from fucking 2010 to like 2016. And then I started branching into other forms of content.
But it's what people want though. Because it's what people want. Guys, you can't fight the people. I said good content is something people want. If something lazy is what the people want, it's lazy, but it's good content by the definition.
Content that I just have a lot more fun doing and make me significantly happier. I very rarely mention nipples.
I'm saying it.
Rarely even think of a time I've even mentioned it in the last couple of months or years, honestly. I don't make a ton of dick jokes. I don't just sit down for 10 minutes, one take playing a shitty game, and just go through my checklist of, you gotta be shitting on my ass shitter and I'm pissing on my dick pisser. You know, like I'm putting significantly more into these videos and I'm doing so many other things. Just being fully transparent with the mask off, this is something that's always hurt me over the last few years, where people say that my glory days were back then, like the 2010 to 20...
People saying asking to watch a video. It's the same thing as asking to watch a video game. And people were making fun of that. Even on the fucking Jimmy Kimmel stream, the most boomer argument, the most outdated caveman argument. Dude, watch... Yeah, nobody watches anybody play a game. Well, nowadays, nobody watches people watch a video. Yeah, they do. So what?
15 content, because I was fucking miserable making it. It was literally a mental checklist of mentioning penis, cum, and titties. I don't think any of it was really all that great. And I'd always say, like, XD random shit. Well, this is, look at this. I'm going so fast, it'll put titties on a cactus. Oh, man, you gotta be rubbing my ass cheek with 5 bricks. But not 6, because 6 bricks is the shits. Like, none of that, I really think, is like good stuff, but people always reference it like that's when Charlie...
Guys, watching sports is literally React Andy. The man is watching the fucking game, okay, the game live, and he's commentating on the game live, and you're watching them watch the game. That is React Andy.
He was at his best. He was so fucking happy doing it. It was great. And I don't get it because now I'm doing so many different things, and I'm not just a one-trick pony mentioning nipples and cock. Of course, I'll still talk about penis sometime because wiener is enjoyable to joke about from time to time, but it's not every video and it's not every joke. I do so many different things besides just play shitty video games. Like music videos, I've been very passionate about. A full fucking comic series we've been working super hard on over the last almost 2 years now. Doing big scale productions like our own Squid Game, or hosting our own professional go-karting race on a legitimate indie track, or making a potato cannon from scratch and firing a potato through a tennis racket to create french fries on the other end like Ed and Eddie. Training with an ungodly specimen of masculine...
Okay, what else?
...wanted to be... I'll spend fucking 10... like specific points...
Go.
Which is play GTA, talk about GTA, speedrun GTA, and he's good at it, don't get me wrong, like I said, I enjoy him, but all he really does is commit to one thing, one area, and then rant. That's it. You're not some beacon of incredible creativity, man. You live in one single bubble, the rock star bosom that you continue to suckle on, and then still have the audacity to say shit like, I'm only a React streamer. All Moistcritikal is a React streamer now. He doesn't do anything else. It fucking sucks. And yeah, it absolutely does hurt. You mention many times throughout your streams, at least in the past from when I've watched, how like actually miserable you are. Like you are pretty much a loner who is committed 100% to the grind. And really, there's nothing wrong with the grind like that. But I would argue you'd be a lot happier if you did more than just obsessively focus on one area. I'm sure you and your community remember the entire unnamed...
Okay, guys, I don't agree with this guy. I think grilling his content because he's one-dimensional is not very nice. I think that was out of pocket. a little out of pocket.
Where, to bring everyone up to speed on the lore, Dark Viper was going for an incredible record, and he was beaten to it by someone named Unnamed, and in response, Dark Viper really had a rough go of it. He kind of had a bit of a meltdown, and it was a big disaster in the whole Dark Viper anime arc. It was a very dark time for the community, and I was there for it. I saw all of it, but I still supported Dark Viper, like, as a person. I still thought his content was good. I still enjoyed, like, watching and hearing from him. But for you to go out and call these people just this, that's all they are, and you can spit on them because you're so much better because all you are is the GTA ranting guy, and that's a lot better. It's just so fucking silly. I really think it is. So yeah, I went on a bit of a rant about this because this is something that I've been wanting to talk about a little bit more, because this perspective is something that always fucking hurts. It really does.
How am I the GTA ranting guy? I don't rant.
People
I
prefer
barely play
just
GTA,
one thing, and one thing only. Dance Monkey, Charlie, play bad games, nothing else. That's when he was at his best. And it fucking hurts, because I didn't like doing that exclusively. What I'm doing now is so many different things. And for Dark Viper to keep portraying me as just one person, one guy doing this one thing, fucking sucks. So yeah, again, he had every right to dunk on me for the things I got wrong. Overall, I think this has been a pretty eye-opening experience, and I feel like I've learned a lot. Not all from Dark Viper. I think xQc did a really great job with it, to be honest. But yeah, it's something that I definitely wanted to talk about, and that's it. So yeah.
Guys,
try hard.
I think we need to have debate night, episode 1, React Andy, and just have a bunch of React lords and anti-React lords, like middle ground. And we go bing, it goes bing. I think reacting is good.
Yeah, my channel has 20,000 views.
And we have the boom, you know?